Meshes are the main topic when we are talking about creating assets at Unity. So what is meshes, what its components, and how we are going to represent it in Unity? This is what we are going to discuss in this lesson. So let's go for Unity and start talk about it. In Unity, each item we are using in our scene, we call it game object. For each game object, if we check the inspector, you will find it has a transform component. This is the minimum requirement from Unity for each game object. Now, if we look to the game mode, each visible item in the game mode, you will find have another component related to mesh. So let's see, for example, sphere, you will find there is component mesh filter handling sphere mesh and mesh renderer. If we go for hello text, again, you will find text mesh component and mesh renderer component. If we go for the floor, you will find again mesh filter plane and mesh renderer. This component, one component will handle the detail of the mesh and one component will handle the representation of the mesh, how Unity will understand mesh and apply for it the material, the light and the shadow. Now if you go in the player, you will find another component for its part. For example, the body, you will find skinned mesh renderer. This is, we are using this component if we have bone system and we are using it for animation. So to understand what is mesh, let's talk about the geometry basics in the math. When you are studying geometry, the first thing you are going to learn is the basic element, which is point. Point is basically a location. So if this is x-axis and y-axis, so this point will be far in x-axis like 4 units from the reference point, and it will be 1 unit from the y-axis. This is maybe will go 2 units in x-axis, 4 units in y-axis. This is maybe 5 units x-axis and 4 units in y-axis, and so on. So point, you need to understand it represents location. If we bring another point and we connect together, you will get a line. Line could be round, could be random line, or if you use the shortest path between the both points, you will get the straight line. Now, if we bring 3 points and connect it together, you will get a triangle. And it is basically the first shape on or the simplest shape of the 2D dimensional shape. Quads, if we add 4 points, and you will get the quad like square shape, rectangle, or any shape have 4 corners. And so on. If we continue adding corners, you will get the polygons shape. Now, triangles, quad, polygon, we call it 2D shape because all these are, you can put it in a plane. So you can draw it in a paper, for example. Line is, we call it one dimension object because it is going in one direction. So there is only left or right point in the line. And the point itself, it is 0 dimension, it is just point, it's a dot, it is not representing dimension. Now, if we go for the third 3D object to discuss it, you will find we are expressing it by combining 2D object together, but using a 3D axis like XYZ. So for example, if we are using here a cube, then it will be, the cube basically is a 6 faces shape, consists of 6 squares. So if this is square, 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 other shapes, this is what make a 3D object is a 3D object. In computer graphics, we are going to use the same concept of the geometry. Points in geometry, we'll call it vertex. So if it's 1 point, will be named vertex. If it is multiple points, we'll call it vertices. So it's like single and plural words. What you need to understand, vertex is holding a location in the space. Now, the line in the geometry, we'll call it edge as a connection between between 2 points. Triangle will be the same concept, meaning triangle, and we'll call it the basic shape. Now, if we want to use a quad or we'll use polygon, you will find we are going to divide it to what the line to make it like triangles. We call the process triangulating the shape. And we will use, for example, a quad. We'll make one quad out of 2 triangle. Now polygons, it will be of number of triangle enough to cover the whole polygons. But only we are going to use a triangle shapes. Why? This is because Unity engine is made based on the triangle shapes. And this is for the best efficiency. Now even 3D objects, it will be made out of let's say the triangles. So in this case we have a square. The square will be made of each face of from quads, and each quad it will be made of two triangle. So basically the whole 3D object it will be made of triangles. So let's test our shape in Unity again and see if it have triangles. If we go in the scene view and we change the shade mode or shading mode to wireframe, and we look carefully for each object. Now let's start by the sphere. Now if we zoom more in sphere, you will find each part of the shape of the sphere is consists of a quad, and the quad is consists of triangle as we discussed previously. So you will find it's triangle, 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 triangle. So it is part of triangle. Now let's go for the player as complicate shape. Let's also zoom and look carefully. Now again you will find depending on the design of the player, could be part of a quads or a triangle or polygon, but end of the day all of these shapes it will be only and only made of triangle. So see here we have a quad, it consists of two triangle. So we have a lot of triangle, and you can see clearly the shapes made all from triangle. Now let's go for the text also. You can see clearly in the text also the same concept is applied. Now each letter in the text mesh it is basically as a quad, and the quad have triangle to triangle. Same you will find here. So each one of it is basically consists of two triangle. So to recap, what is mesh in Unity? It is a graphical representation for any game object, which you can see it in the game mode, and it holds a lot of information. It should hold information about the vertices, so we know the location of each point in the mesh. Also it have information about the triangles, so we know how to shape the shape of the game object. Now there is information like UVs, normal, color, vertex, submesh, and all related for the material which we are going to apply on the meshes, and the lights, how it will be interact with the light in the Unity. So what is procedurally generated mesh? Before we ask this question, we need to ask the following question: how we can build a mesh in Unity? There is three ways how to build the mesh. First, we are going to generate mesh by third-party software like using Maya, 3D Max software, or Blender. This is one solution. Second solution, generated by code. This is mean we are going to build the mesh from A to Z using C# code at Unity. And this is what we are talking about, what we call it procedurally generated mesh. Third one is using Unity standard meshes assets. And it's very simple shapes like cube, quad, plane, sphere. And it is simple shapes. You cannot complete your game using it, but it can be helpful sometimes. So the procedurally generated mesh is a mesh built up totally by the code. And the advantage of that, it will can give you main two advantage. First, flexibility in your mesh, because when you are building your mesh inside the code, you don't have limitation of the mesh what you build it in the third party. So if you, for example, if you build a mesh in Maya or 3D Max Blender, for example, let's say you build a door, when you when you export it and import it to Unity, the only thing you can modify it is just scaling it or move it, rotate it, that's all. But when you build your mesh by using the code in C#, you can make it flexible, like you can adjust the component of the doors, and one by one you can handle. And this is what is our training course about, and we are going to explain it. And it will reduce the game size, because when you do it procedurally, you can make a lot of options in the same code, and you will see that how in this lesson. And that's all about the introduction. Better let's go for doing now some code in Unity and start our work.